Yes, sis. A lot of this stuff. Do we go looking for this stuff, Sister Mayanah?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But it tends to find us. But that's a good thing. It means that we're doing our jobs and that we have earned the people's trust. So
All
that's
right.
just
So just like you said, true to form, we tend to concentrate a lot on errant doctrine that makes its way into the spaces that um, our people occupy. And we're kind of like quality assurance, to check to see if this thing is poisonous, is it toxic, is it, does it have lead in it? You got to have quality assurance. And so we're going to have a video coming up Wednesday, a live stream that's going to speak about the second part of the, what is it, Sister Minor? You know the whole title. What's the title of that one?
we didn't title the next one, did we? But
Well, it's coming out of the Black Women's Manifesto, the miseducation.
Right. It's part of the Double Jeopardy
Right.
of Black Womanhood
Okay.
series.
Right.
And we will be moving on to the second essay in the anthology known as the Black Women's Manifesto that was written in the 70s, and kind of encapsulates the thoughts of the women at the time of the time.
Right. So that will be this Wednesday, and based off of the shows, it's not the first time what we have done. Some people will say, "Are you people feminists?" No, that's not the reason why we are taking so much time to look into what people are calling the downfall of the quote unquote Black family is because it's errant. What are your thoughts on that, sis? Before we get into this,
right. It's not that we're out here trying to defend or rehabilitate feminism. Instead, what we're trying to do is we're listening to the critiques of the family. We see where the blame is being laid, and we're looking into whether or not this is an accurate diagnosis. Otherwise, we're discussing malpractice here. If it's not the appropriate diagnosis, then it should be determined, right? We're looking for first, second, and third opinions here. So, is it the white feminism, the culprit of the downfall of the Black family? Did Black women flock to this thought and embrace it wholesale, or did they have some resistance to it? It's very arrogant of our generation to presume that we know better than our foremothers, and that we have come up with some new we have these new spectacles that they were not able to see for themselves. So we are looking at the documentation left behind by these women to see how they viewed the white feminist movement. Did they embrace it? Is it because of some adoption of this kind of thought that led to the downfall of the Black family? Are we dealing with causation? Are we dealing with correlation? Or are we dealing with imagination? And that's pretty much what we are talking about on Wednesday and every Wednesday at 9 p.m.
until we get through it. This is the work that it is very important, because there are people who believe in it, and not only believe in it, repeating it, teaching it, and misinforming people. And like you said, I like it. I like what you said. It's misdiagnosis, because if you keep looking at the wrong spot, then you will never really solve the problem. And that's kind of what's going on. You got the fall guy, which is the quote unquote Black woman. And as long as she's the fall guy, you don't have to take responsibility for all of the other factors that go into what's actually happening. So that takes place on Wednesday. Oh yeah, before I go on, this segment is brought to you by the C3 Challenge. So if you like our new slender, more vibrant and skin, glowing appearance,
that's right.
Through the C3 Challenge right now, I have my what am I drinking? Sorrel with no sugar and a squeeze of lemon. So, I'm saying, from time to time, you see me sipping on my tea, you know what I mean? But we're going to jump into this. So somebody hit me up, one of the YouTubers, and was like, yo, sis, I want to check this out. And sometimes you'll be like, yeah. So I happen to check it out, and I'm like, oh. So I'm like, Sister Mayanah, we might want to check this out. And so because we had an open space this Monday, we don't usually on Monday, we had an open space. I'm like, let's do it. And sis was like, let's do it. So here we are. Tonight, we're going to be speaking about, I've never heard about this in this capacity until today, domestic discipline the quote unquote loving trend of spouse spanking. You see, it's funny even when you say it, right? Domestic discipline. There appears to be, before I go into, I did a little mini presentation so we could get context, because people might be like, what in the world are y'all talking about? Y'all sisters, first y'all came with this white school issue. Y'all sound like y'all against domesticity, and now you against spanking that behind.
That's right.
I was going to say that, again, for those who do know, we did the review of the Roe Cutnose book, Man Leads, Woman Follows, Everyone Wins. We did a very systematic, long, extended breakdown, many segments of this book.
And all the things that Keisha missed the mark.
Right. In the breakdown, we had to do some extra studies. And what we came up with, we shared, which is the cult of domesticity, where it's coming from, this mentality. So when this came across the plate, I'm like, uh-oh, trigger words, you know what I'm saying? Buzzwords, I saw that before, you know what I mean? And I'm sending it to Sister Mayanah like, uh-oh, this is like a branch of the same tree.
Right. This is grad school. They went to white school, graduated, went to grad school.
Right, this is the grad school, this is the PhD portion of the Cutnose Bachelor program, right? And some people may be like, y'all sisters be bugging out. Well, you know, like, I don't know if you used to watch Reading Rainbow, but one of my favorite parts from LeVar Burton is, you ain't have to take my word for it. So with that said, so that we can see whether or not we are conspiracy theorists, or is there a common thread, I'm going to pull up my screen for a very short walkthrough of some information that I found, and I'm going to tell you, being forthcoming, I shared and sourced this information. I didn't do much change to the information. And I sourced where I got it from. It was actually a DD, as they call it. You know, everything has this hip slang. A DD manual. So go figure. And the pictures are not necessarily from the manual, but it's from a space and time that we spoke about in America where the cult of domesticity re-emerged. Sister Mayanah, can you see my screen?
Let me go ahead and confirm for you. I do not see it. It's black for you?
It's black for you. Hold up. Now, let me see if you can see it. Can you see it now?
I can.
All right. Now,
that's our promo right there.
Yeah, that's our promo. Okay. So, I'm just going to see if I can make it a little bigger, and then you tell me if you can see it now. Can you see it now?
I have blackness.
You have blackness. Hold up. Because I can see. Can you see it now?
It is still dark.
Okay, wait. Let me. Alrighty. For some reason, when you make it bigger, you really can't see it. Let me know if you can see it. Can you see it now?
No, ma'am.
No. What about now?
No, ma'am. No. Keep clicking and I'll tell you when I see it.
Okay, how about that? Present a view.
No, ma'am. It was fine. Whatever view it was on before was.
It was fine?
Yeah.
Let me go back then. Hold on. It doesn't. What about this one?
I can see it now.
All right, cool. We're just gonna rock with this one. This is a little short, like I said, for those who may not know what in the world this is. Here again with our favorite. Who may not know what in the world this is. You know, I said, let me, you know, it's too much for us to just try to stuff it all in there. Some people are audio, visual, all this stuff. So this is the promo for tonight. Domestic discipline. What you're seeing here, for those who just joined us, there is a wind blowing in the community that is touting domestic discipline as the answer to the problem with the Black quote unquote woman. And what I found interesting is back in the 90s, if you remember, it was Shaza Ali who had a portion in her book. I don't know if you remember that, Sister Mayanah, that said, I don't want to misquote her, but it was something to the degree of slapper. You know what I'm saying? That kind of conversation. I have to get the exact quote that caused a whole lot of stir in the community. Well, it's back again. And this time, the woman who is sharing this information, she is really advocating that this is an answer. This is the missing answer to fixing the quote unquote black relationship. But when you dig to the depths of this conversation, you will see that this is an extension of something that already pre-existed. So after I show this short little slide, we're gonna have a conversation. Sister Mayanah, you still with me?
That's right.
All right, cool. All right, so I just named it the loving trend of spouse spanking because that's what, when you look it up, they're like, it's loving, it's embracing, it's family, it's wholesome, this type of conversation. So if somebody might be saying, what in the world is domestic discipline? You know how you usually put names on stuff to make it sound like not what it is? It is basically what they call in the hood beating at, you know what?
Yeah, basically.
Now, what you're seeing here is an ad from the mid 1900s. And what is interesting is that on the first fly, you saw a European. On the second fly, you see European. You see a European with their hand up, with the woman across their lap, looking to beat them. So what you must understand that this is not a new concept. As a matter of fact, this is actually an advert. If your husband ever finds out you're not, quote, store testing for fresher coffee, it's a coffee advertisement. So basically, if you do something that is warranting this quote unquote discipline, then you can expect the beat down as a helpmate, as a wife. Very, very interesting stuff. Now, the actual definition, like I didn't have to look far for these pictures. Please excuse it if it's rattling you a little bit. It says that domestic discipline is the practice between two, quote, I'm quoting here, consenting life partners. Domestic discipline is generally practiced among married couples. However, the term quote unquote life partner is used in our definition because we feel domestic discipline can be practiced between any two partners who know they'll spend the rest of their lives together. This is why I say it makes it so wholesome and so loving. If you're cohabitating, this might work for you. This is the way it's packaged. That could mean they're married or engaged or even partners living for numerous years. And of course, this practice and lifestyle, absolutely all capitals, must be consensual between both partners. We cannot stress that point enough. Again, I am sharing the information from this this website that presents themselves as the leading authority. You come to them to learn all the ins and outs of this conversation. I cannot make this stuff up. I'm gonna continue. I said short presentation and we get into it. Now, I thought some of these terms were key. Like head of household, HOH. They got their little slang and everything. So the head of the household, HOH, takes the necessary measures to achieve a healthy relationship dynamic, the necessary measures to create a healthy home environment, and the necessary measures to protect all members of the family from dangerous or detrimental outcomes by punishing the contributing and thus unwarranted behavior for the greater good of the entire family. The HOA is the leader. The HOA sets the example for the rest of the family. In a domestic discipline relationship, this means the HOA punishes dangerous or detrimental behaviors in order to achieve those things. This is in the essence of what domestic discipline is all about. Not my words. I wanted to take it directly from their words. So in their estimation, this continuation of the woman being in her father and mother's household, when she goes into the husband's household, he essentially, if they're in quote consensual relationship, is assuming all of the facets of a father, including the ability to lay hands on this now grown, not so grown, in need of corporal punishment woman. Okay, Emunah, stop putting in extra stuff in there. Types of punishment, Sister Mayanah, if it's okay, please let me know if the people in the chat are still there, if they have any questions or comments. I can't see right now, but we'll be there soon. Types of punishment. This is one of the types of punishment that I found interesting. We're going to talk a little bit about the spanking, but what is so very parallel to child rearing is that they also have within their manual corner time. Okay, like timeout, like nose against the wall, like put your dunce hat on. Types of punishment. Corner time within a domestic discipline relationship, there are several different punishments that can be administered, most of which are pretty straightforward. One of the most basic punishment is corner time, also referred to as timeout. Corner time or timeout is a punishment in which the submissive partner stands in a corner of a room for a designated period of time, determined by the head of the household. The idea is for the submissive partner to think about what they did wrong and think about why it's a problem without anything distracting them. There's a lot more that goes on in this punishment than the submissive partner simply standing in the corner for a few minutes, as you'll see in just a moment. Well, that's their moment, because it was giving me but we get in the gist. Corner time is light punishment, typically administered when the submissive partner exhibits a minor negative behavior. Corner time is considered to be a reasonable and appropriate punishment to address behaviors such as poor attitude, failure to listen, nagging, light back talking, or any other minor behavior deemed immature, annoying, or completely uncalled for and unnecessary by the head of the household. I'm sorry, but this sounds like a kindergarten class, but I'm gonna continue.
Before you continue, listen, you want to
Go
hear
ahead, sis, because I know you itching. Go ahead. I'm gonna take a break. Go ahead.
I'm going to read the comment from the audience as you suggested, and we have Angel who has come through to support, and she confirms that she can see the presentation. Earl Clark is also joining us, and he says, "It sounds like I wouldn't be able to sleep in the same bed or go to my mother's house." And then he laughs. He says, "I'm laughing, but it ain't no joke."
That's the
So
question I asked.
I think that what's interesting about the comment that we have from the listening audience so far is that it speaks to one of the issues that you particularly and you and I collectively have expressed. What about the children? And his perspective is not as the adult male, but instead as the child who would have to be in this relationship and see how his mother is being treated. So there's still the, what is a child thinking when you have the adult who he is supposed to look at as an adult being treated as a child. So I would be interested to hear from someone in this community who is not who's have they considered the way they are blurring the line in this way in terms of who gets punished and who is the one who punishes. It's very interesting.
It's very interesting because as you read on, the question that came up within this pamphlet and the videos that I had to watch for the research today is who disciplines the woman, the man, who disciplines the child, the parents, right? But when you get into the woman to man relationship, you're reduced to that of a child. And so then the next question was just who disciplines the man? Oh, God. So he gets totally absorbed. Now he gets to the heavenly realms with who disciplines him, who determines a violation of their 3Ds, which I think I put in here. It's him. So it gets a bit strange, but definitely, like you said, what are the children thinking? Some of them are saying, oh, the child knows that I get beaten. It's like, yeah, we're going to continue. We're going to have this conversation, everybody. We must have this conversation. This is the kind of things that are creeping in the name of healing, in the name of in fixing our solutions. If you, as Mayanah said earlier in this broadcast, if you do not rightly diagnose what is the problem, then everything sounds like a solution. But I'm going to continue. Nothing new under the sun, I say. And again, I talk about the history of the code of domesticity because we spoke about that. If you missed those videos, you could go ahead and check out the whole series, Man Leads, Woman Follows. Everybody supposedly wins. This is from the same time period. Again, this is another advert. Do you still beat your wife is the advert. It says, maybe you should never have stopped. Read why in the rollicking, provocative, yet educational booklet entitled Why You Should Beat Your Wife, written by an eminent practitioner of this manly art. Send 15 cents in stamps or coins to Cole Sales Company, 538 West Deming Place, Chicago, 14, Illinois. With a picture of someone. So again, this was a part of the culture. What I found interesting, and I couldn't ignore it, is that you're talking about the same people who used to be slave masters, and their thought process of submission and subjection is the ability to physically lay hands on you. And so when they are no longer in the, because remember, I always say and keep saying that slavery was a domestic violence situation. It was a domestic violence institution because the slave or the enslaved individual was in the confines of the owner's house. And so now who's in the confines of his house? The woman.
woman.
And so now he's not able to be, quote, his servants, but now he can transfer that aggression or that need to dominate in a physical way to laying hands on his wife, who's supposed to be his helpmate. So I really don't know how that works, but we're going to continue just a little bit. I promise you, not that long. For those who love I Love Lucy, I didn't realize it till I started doing the study. Again, it just all it's coming back to me now. I don't know if y'all know that song, but it's all coming back now, right? And so we see here in many different depictions this practice. It's not new. A lot of times our people, melanated people, like to pick things up like, ooh, who left this dirty, disease-ridden thing on the floor? Let me pick it up, brush it off, and act like it's new and present it to the people. And this is what is happening. This what has happened, and this is what continues to happen, as though it doesn't have a history of where it began. Let me see if I could play this here, because this is not the presentation. I wanted to play. If not, hold on. Video options. I wanted to play the this short clip. But if I don't get to play the clip, you can definitely see in this upper right hand corner right here, you can see Ricky Ricardo doing this. There is on YouTube, I Love Lucy Spanking is the name of the video. And you will see in different scenes, Ricky Ricardo in the show beating Lucy. Okay. Right. And you can see it up here in the first smaller picture in the right hand corner to the video. You will see him doing the same thing. You will see here another advert here. It's a wise man who brings an erring spouse to his knees. This was the thought. And on all of these, you see them with their hands raised. But yet still, when you talk about domestic violence, they will say, no, this is not domestic violence. This is domestic disciplining. So you get the sanitization of the need to, and for the women to also say, listen, this is what I need for me to be good, because I cannot control myself outside of someone physically putting their hands on them. Again, I see serious issues with this, serious red flags, but we're going to continue and then we'll have the conversation. On this pamphlet now, I'm not making this stuff up. This is straight from the pamphlet. They're telling you about spanking implements. The hand, pros, convenient, inexpensive, free, will not bruise, excellent for bringing nerves to the surface. Cons, can be painful after numerous strikes from the HOA, not overly painful for the submissive partner. The HOA must spank harder with the hand than with an implement. So they're even giving you suggestions as to what spanking implements you should use. This is a well thought out.
Yeah.
Anywho, another one, a wooden spoon. Pros, lightweight, inexpensive, quiet when spanking, because you got to be concerned about the neighbors and the children. Pain, sting, stays on the surface of the buttocks, good for spanking thighs, not dense. Cons, small, so it must be used all over the buttocks to achieve desired results. And the desired results can break easily. They had other ones. I just kind of wanted to keep it short, so I picked 3. They had like ping pong paddles and okay, spanking implement, wooden paddle. This is like what they use when they haze people in colleges, hazing. Commonly associated with spanking, excellent for achieving desired sting. Easy to manage whole, good for nearly every spanking position. Cons, dense, can bruise if not used properly, can be expensive, not commonly found in stores, and can be fairly loud when spanking. It went on, I only have one more page, but it actually went on to talk about, you guys sit down and talk about, how would you like to be beat? Do you want me to put you on my leg? Do you want to lean on a chair? Do you want, oh, merciful Father. Lastly, the question is domestic discipline. Say what? Letting your spouse beat you on purpose? Is it healing, abuse, or maladaptive psychological issues? So that was my little short, crash course. You know how they had them Cliff Notes in college? Little crash course on the conversation so that you can be up to speed and definitely know that Emunah and Mayanah is not making this up. Why is it important? Because it has leaked into the Black community and being touted as the answer to your
strategy.
Yeah, this is the answer now to your problem as the Black male and the so-called Black female. Sister Mayanah, I know that's the first time I didn't even hit you to the president. What is your thoughts?
Well done, but well done then. Thorough as usual. So rather than comment on the presentation, I will comment on the content of the presentation. I find it disturbing. I find it deeply troubling that there are words that are in usage in this uh, strategy that pretend to be helpful. These words such as healing, healthy. I saw that. Is that the word that was repeated several times? Healthy, wholesome. Okay, these are not. This was understand that we're talking about uh, placing your hands on an adult woman and treating her like a child. This is not healthy behavior by any stretch of the imagination. If you do not have the ability to communicate with a woman, or as a woman, you do not have the ability to communicate with your partner and achieve the desired results, then you, my darling, are not healthy. And there's nothing you can do about that. Repackaging it and putting it in this space and saying, "Oh, we're healthy over here in this unhealthy place." Uh, that's very disturbing. This is problematic, as we like to say. So my question, and I'm very eager to see who's going to join us tonight and explain it to me, how they believe that this unhealthy thing can suddenly become healthy if we simply because you consent to it. I think that the idea here is that you find someone willing to be beaten, and that makes the whole thing acceptable because the other party has entered into it willingly. That this is not something that's being done by duress. Ostensibly, we're led to believe this is not something that is um, being forced upon the submissive person, but instead this is something that they too desire and therefore are consenting to. But this consent doesn't necessarily indicate health. It indicates something bereft in the person, that they, as an adult, still need to have this regression into childhood. They're saying that they themselves do not have the internal mechanism that allows them to exercise discipline, and so they have to seek an external force to place that kind of prohibition on them or to limit them. I find this very irresponsible. I think this is a license to be irresponsible. It's a license to be a perpetual child. You're being treated like a child. So we're going to follow this thread. We cannot, this is definitely, even the language, you're calling it, what is it? What do they call it? The corner time? We know this is timeout. This is you trying to switch up the vocabulary, right? Switching up the vocabulary doesn't change the act.
Yeah.
I mean, that's that old switcheroo. What was it? There's whenever the manufacturers create a product and then the product gets outed, the manufacturer runs over, takes the same product, just simply renames it, and then sends it back to you and tells you it's not the same toxin that was just pulled off the shelves last week.
Right.
So corner time and timeout, this is the means by which you discipline your child. This is not how you communicate with your woman or your wife, the person that you have entered into a covenant with, your life partner, however you put this. This is definitely a degradation of the other party. You are saying to that person, you are not at a level to be. This person is not with you. This person is another dependent. A lot of this, again, you see the same language carried over. There's this idea that the man is constantly in perpetual danger of being emasculated. So we have to reinforce that he is the leader. We have to reinforce that he is the head of household. And for some reason, the masculine principle feels as if they are so incapable of doing this based on merit that they have to invoke some kind of violence. And no matter how you put this is violence. oh, it's light. If you can call it light violence, I don't know what how that makes you feel any better, but it's violence, and that is what's happening because this is not discipline, and the reason I'm going to say that it's violence is because not just because presumably you're not allowed to. Uh, well, if we're going, for example, when I was doing research on this, also we know that some of this goes into certain spaces where here we're looking at Christianity. We see that specifically. There's also that there's a Muslim thought that there's certain degrees of permissive discipline somewhere in this vein. If I may take a little bit more time, um, in Islamic thought, though, the people who were discussing this were very, very careful to explain that Islam regulates domestic discipline very, very stringently. And for example, they're not allowed to hit you in your face or any other space that could be seen by others. They're not allowed to hit the woman to the point that it may bruise or break her skin, make her bleed in any way. It's very funny. They also have this language where you can't hit her and make her ugly. Like this is their concern. If you hit her in the face and make her ugly, like you don't want to.
Yeah.
So
Yo,
that was
yeah, scarring. I found, like you said, I found that like
that was very interesting. Like we have to keep her pretty. Like if we're going to, we don't make her ugly. But they had all of these things, but like you don't. And also is that you wouldn't go directly to hitting her. And like I think you were also said there were offenses that merited this type of physical admonishment because you don't go. They go verbally first, apparently several times, and then there's the
silent treatment. According to the guy, there's the silent treatment. There's the I won't share your bed.
That's right.
I'm not talking to you. And then you pull out your toothpick, and then you start hitting her, but apparently not in her face because you wouldn't even hit an animal in their face.
Right.
Apparently not in any way that you can. And I'm like, this is the same thought of the woman is not a help if you have to chastise her and discipline her as a child. That is not a help. So then I would have to question the man.
Correct.
Like, what man is going to get a woman who you have to treat like a child?
Right.
You cannot communicate with her. She's not reachable. She has not matured.
Right.
Maybe you want to take her back to the people who had the right to beat her. You know what I'm saying? Like, you ain't the one. I mean, how do you? I don't mean to cut you, but in the presentation they were speaking about a lot of time it's the submissive one who's presenting this to the person who's like la la la, and they're like, I want you to, possibly discipline me, and that in itself is like,
correct. There's something unhealthy there.
What?
Right, because you are saying that I do not have the ability,
right,
to maintain myself. I don't have the ability to temper my behavior, and that I need you to come and do this for me. But it also implies a certain freedom. I'm going to go and do these things, and I'll just get spanked for it when later. There's some kind of dependency on that because it's already something that you want to happen, so it's not really something you're necessarily going to avoid.
Right.
Well,
because some say, well, it's not a fetish. There's another part of it where some people's like, well, that sounds like some fetish type, maladaptive stuff you got going on here. And they're like, no, it really hurts. Because once you agree, you can't stop it mid-beating. Apparently, once you agree to this conversation and you sit down and hash out the rules of, I think they said, and let me see if I can find it, these disrespect, and I forgot the rest of the thing. My computer shut down, but they apparently have this framework that you have to sit down and get all of the rules and regulation of this beating agreement. And then, no, I'm serious.
I'm telling you, I have a sample of such a contract.
Okay, hold on 1 second. Let me get this so I can read it. I mean, this.
You want me to read it to you? I have a sample of such a contract between the HOH and the submissive partner.
Oh, you have it. Okay.
of course.
Okay.
Not for nothing.
Yeah. Get that. Yeah. Run that. Read that. Says read. let,
So,
let, let's hear it.
Section 1 of the contract reads, both the head of household and the submissive partner agree to the below rules to be enforced within our domestic discipline relationship. Both the head of household and the submissive partner agree that the below rules are subject to change at any time with both parties' full knowledge beforehand. Rule number 1, no back talking, bad attitude, or other forms of disrespect. Number 2, no cursing or using other language deemed as inappropriate by the head of household. No disobeying anything that the head of household requests. Absolutely no dangerous behavior, including but not limited to dangerous driving, such as texting while driving, excessive speeding, failure to stop at the stop sign or lights, etc. No leaving appliances on, such as the stove, when not in use. No leaving the car or house doors unlocked, etc. Number 5, obey the curfew times that the head of household has set forth. So please understand you have a curfew. Number 6, no lying or any form of dishonest communication or behavior. Number 7, always follow the budget that the head of household has set forth. Number 8, dress modestly or in attire that the head of household finds acceptable and appropriate. Number 9, maintain healthy habits such as eating properly, exercising regularly, etc. Number 10, do not withhold any information, personal, professional, financial, etc., from your head of household. Absolutely, number 11, absolutely no illegal behavior. Number 12, all major decisions must be made together with the head of household having the final say. Number 13, no procrastination. Number 14, communicate effectively and respectfully. Pardon me, respectfully. Never go to bed angry. 15, and finally, check in while out of the house so the head of household knows that you are safe. And that's just section 1. Section 2 talks about the consequences of reneging on any or disobeying any of the aforementioned rules, and there are several of those. There are 4 major ones. There's corporal punishment. I'll just list them without the description, but the first one is corporal punishment or spanking. Number 2 is corner time. Number 3 is bedroom time. Let's read that. Bedroom time. The head household agrees that the length of bedroom time, as well as the specific instructions during bedroom time, will fit the severity of the offense. Head of household agrees never to lock the submissive partner in the bedroom. The submissive partner understands that the specifics and length of the bedroom time are solely up to the head of household, and failure to follow instructions given by the head of household could result in additional consequences of the head of household choosing. The final punishment is being grounded or removal of privileges.
Gosh.
And if that doesn't sound like a child, I really don't know what it is. I really don't know what does.
Yeah.
And then the final part, they just sign their names to. So this is what they are consenting to. This is their agreed upon. I don't manifesto, but
oh, Father help me.
You're gonna have difficulty convincing me that this is not being treated like a child. I believe the person whose attention we were brought to says that sometimes a woman needs to be treated like a child.
Yes, that was actually one of the conversations that is she and we invited the sister. I don't know, it was a little bit late. We definitely could have another conversation, but I did invite via the social media platform to have this conversation because for so many reasons. What you just read sounds like you're talking to a 17-year-old.
Correct.
Who the man or the head of household just lays with, and every other aspect of that person is a child. How could that person help you to make decisions? How could she be the Isaiah? How can she be what the creator created when she has no level of autonomy? When you were reading, all I could think of was, well, in his estimation, no spending beyond the budget, Abigail would have gotten beaten.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
No speaking back when you don't agree, Ima Sarah would have gotten beaten in their estimation.
That's right.
You know, well, although Bathsheba was minding her business and Dawid was peeping on her, she would have got in her own yard. She would have got for indecent exposure, although she was in her yard. So it's like, again, to me, I can't help it. Maybe I'm stuck in left project mode. But this sounds like, energy cannot be destroyed. It just changes form. And to me, possibly, this energy that you just expressed sounds very strangely familiar.
Mm-hmm.
To the slave master. I'm sorry, this may be his child, but he looking like his daddy right now, and Chip no far from the block. Like, this really sounds like some old. If I catch you lying down there, Rufus, this whole resort to I'm going to make everyone around me, and this lends to why you saw that first wave of feminism coming out of that cult of domesticity. Because if this is the verbiage now,
right,
in 2017, this is not something that we're imagining. Like, it reemerged in the mid 1900s. It was there before. And if this is the verbiage now, how much so where you couldn't get a driver's license, when you couldn't vote and you couldn't come out into public without, how much so more constricting it was that we see these European women like, yo, son, I'm not a child.
Right.
So you have to fight for your level of autonomy to say, listen, I'm not a child. There is no respect. It's like the only person who exists is this European male energy. And everyone else around him, he has infantilized, Mayanah's favorite word, he has infantilized everyone else around him. The black man, the black woman, so-called black man, black woman, and the European woman. Everyone is infantilized, and the only grown person with hair on their pubics is him. Yeah. I find this to be very strange. Says, I'm sorry, I've been bugging out all day. I got like, it's like, and then just to see our people pick it up, as we showed, this is not something that we're making up. This, as a matter of fact, actions speak louder than words. I was able to find a video. Tell me if you could see this. Hold on. Tell me if you could see this so that we can. Hold on 1 second. Can you see my screen? Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can. Yes, sis.
All right. Can you see it now?
No, ma'am.
No. I don't know why when you go full screen you can't see it, but it's all good. Okay, can you let me know if you can hear it?
I hear it.
All right, cool. This is episode from I Love Lucy. When is this? The mid what? 50s, 60s?
Yeah.
All right, cool. 30 seconds. All right. Let me see if I can turn it all the way up.
What do you mean? Are you going to give that invitation back to Mrs. Lewis or not?
No.
Lucy, if you're going to act like a child, I'm going to have to treat you like one.
Meaning what?
Meaning I'll put you over my knees and
You wasn't there.
Oh, I would.
No, you what?
Did we just read that? Did you just read that? If you're going to act like a child, I'm going to treat you like one, and I'm going to put you over my knee, and I'm spanking you. So they're having this conversation. I think it was about her spending, or about communication, or her about being grounded and not speaking to people. And he says to her, she backtalks him, which is constitute a beating, according to what you said. And then she doesn't agree with him. And then he says, if you're going to act like a child, meaning you're going to buck this authority, I'm going to treat you like that. And he proceeds to take her and put her over his knee to spank her. And this is not the first portion within this particular show that you see this. Is it a new thought? No. Is it Eurocentric in the way in which it has been presented in this diaspora? Yes. So my question to conscious melanated rising people is, why are you picking up Missy Ann's old drawers? I'm just saying, why are you picking it up? Did it work for her?
Not at all. Not at all. I don't know if it's in the book that we are reading. I don't have the book anymore. I think that you still have the book, The Making of White People, or something of that like. I think I was reading it with Opa. There's a portion of this book where the painters, a very popular painter of the time, is discussing femininity. And for him, the pinnacle of femininity is the slave. And then that's what he when he says that he sees, and it's white women, like Turkish women who are in slavery or whatever. And he was like, they are beautiful in their femininity.
Wow.
These enslaved women. So it's the idea of this kind of ultimate submission, this ultimate being stripped of any kind of agency. This is what he's equating with femininity.
Wow. And again,
And this is European thought.
that this is okay. This is what we have to say about yesterday we did a show, and shout out to the brother about the practical application of consciousness. Once we gather all of this information, we have to see where it fits, how it applies. We have to, it's like just gathering books. You have to now go through it and see what is for you. And it's like, when you get open, you go to the store, you just start picking up everything you ain't gonna buy. You know what I'm saying? It's like your car. And then when you get to the cash register, you're like, nah, I changed my mind. I don't want this. I don't need this. Do you understand what I'm saying? This is what we're doing with knowledge. We just putting it all in the cart. But there has to come a time when you're like, wait a minute, nah, that wasn't even ours. I actually heard the sister say, this goes back to Africa, but I haven't seen any Africa references. The only references I have seen is the European, who, like you said, and I said, and the research bears out that in the 14 and 1500s, there was a common law that you can beat your wife.
That's right.
As long as X, Y, and Z doesn't happen. And if she tries to go to court, no one will hear her.
That's right.
That it was your right. And I'm saying, and we look at the world. I like to kind of work backwards. Look at the world. Look what the world was supposed to be. Look what the world is. Look at the conversation that says it is not good that man is alone.
That's right.
If you put the woman here, it's still not good that man is alone. Because if she is subjugated to the realm of a child, he's still alone. And him being alone, he does not have the full functioning capacity, which is the other side of the conversation, to make the right decision so that the outcome will be wholesome. There's no way you can have a full council of males without a feminine perspective and come out with a wholesome approach.
That's right.
It doesn't work like that. When you look at, people like to talk about African culture. I'm still waiting on their quotes. I'm a little bit turned up right now because I'm a bit perturbed at how and why we seek shortcuts, and then we seek to take everybody else down with us. So this is like a public service announcement, okay? When I look at a lot of African culture, even if you look at African movies in today, which is a bit modernized and a bit cultural, you will see that if a prince is to come to the throne, he cannot sit on that throne as a king without a queen. So they will say to him, and you see it in other cultures, they will say to him, your father getting old, blah, 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 you better find a queen because you cannot reign one-sided. They understand that concept. They have not forgotten. So when we talk about masculine energy reigning and then totally forgetting that the feminine principle is bringing to you that which you need to operate optimally, then we're buying into this, again, errant doctrine. And so to say you have come again?
Even in this country, when you look at the list of presidents that we've had,
you have to.
Only two, I believe, were married, and one of those two married immediately in their first term. The other one died a bachelor. But you see that who we elected to be the figurehead of the country is normally their relationship ethics go under the microphone, because this marriage is important. The way the relationship is, how he deals with his wife, his fidelity to his wife, his relationship with his communication with his wife, those things all go on under immediate scrutiny. Even we look at how we have several problems with Trump, but among them, it was just his relationship with his wife consistently goes under scrutiny because we understand the relationship that a woman is supposed to play. We also find that in our country, we're talking about a particular period of time where the start is coming out of. The same had a law on the books called coverture. And under the law of coverture said that women did not have a legal identity. That once she was married, her identity became absorbed into the man. So as you were saying before, there's no legal recourse for the woman because she doesn't legally exist. The only adult in that household is the male.
Correct.
The wife has no legal identity. Who is going back to that time? Who's going back to that thought and saying this is a healthy space?
Correct.
It doesn't make any
They're
sense.
not even, because this is what I'm saying. The people who are saying this apparently, remember when we did the cult of domesticity, sis, and we went back and we looked at the actual, they had a museum. We ain't making this up. It's a documentary, a museum in England that showed during this time that everybody was like the great housewife and the big manual this big. The men were still not satisfied in this space. And they were going to prostitution. Remember, this is ultra submission. This is don't talk back. This is you get ran up on. And they were so much in the streets because that was, men will say this is what they want, but history is showing that that's not they want. You know, that's not what they wanted. And what happened was the underworld, the underbelly of it became so dirty. And they began to have syphilis and all of these STDs spreading around, so much so till they had to make a wax museum.
Yes.
They had to do a public service announcement of the day to let them know that, listen, you cannot go back. And this is a little child who died of syphilis because his nasty father came home and kissed him with his syphilis lips. Like, we're not making this stuff up. So again, when you really study history and you study the European and you study slavery, this is our experience and the proximity to the European, and then you study the reemergence and the recycling, like Sister Mayanah said, the repackaging of these things. How can you in your right mind bring it back to the community and say this is the solution? No, the solution is to find out that you cannot shortcut the healing process.
That's right.
I heard the sister say, and I'm saying this with all sincerity, that that counseling stuff don't work, and I'm saying going to church don't work. Sometimes you just need a beating. If that's your personal thing, then let that be your thing. Right. The issue becomes when you present it to the public as the solution.
Right.
Now you have come into the sphere to be under public scrutiny, because what you're saying to the person is that your hang up, whether it's with your father in your household, you're going to take what you took. And I spoke about in America, not only in America, but I'll use America. There was a time in the early 1900s, late 1800s, that what is now illegal as drugs was legal. And the people were saying, this is the solution. You haven't tried heroin, Sister Mayanah? You understand what I'm saying? You don't drink a little Coke in your Coca-Cola. Doctors were prescribing this.
Right.
Sears and Roebuck catalog. My thing is about making a blanket statement and not actually vetting whatever you're talking about long enough to see what the effects will be. And in America, they became a generation of addicts. They were given heroin. They were given Coke to children in cough medicine.
Yeah.
I'm lying? Look it up. And they were selling the syringe. The stuff that you get caught with today is called paraphernalia, and you got drugs and intent to distribute. They were intending to distribute and distributing in the Sears and Roebuck catalog syringes with the heroin. Don't believe me? Look it up. My point is, history has shown us that what often is introduced as the next best thing since sliced bread has real repercussions in the immediate future. And when we know that something has not worked in some spaces, this is what research is for. Please, if you see anybody bringing it back again, like, oh yeah, remember this lead paint we used to use? You know what I think we should do to get them fly colors? Put that lead back in the paint. No.
Right.
Remember, within the same documentary, Sister Mayanah, it was talking about why so many people were dying, because
they wanted that green.
They wanted that pretty green. It was the deadly green that was coming from lead, killing the people.
Right.
History is telling us this. So when you tell me that someone has a father issue, because this is where I'm gonna do a little soul analysis. I'm gonna calm down. Somebody has a father issue.
Now they're saying that there was a whole article saying that certain lipsticks, that if you see it, it's too bright or it has too much matte to it, it's because they put lead in it.
Yes.
So it's that same property that is lead is being put again for the color and the property in lipstick.
For the appeal. for the appeal. I do remember because there was a safe lipstick campaign. Because when I had, my beauty business, natural beauty, there's a safety cosmetics campaign that has been and continues to go on for the same reason, because they want to quality assurance these products that are on the market with some of these suppliers that really don't care about your health. All they're going to tell you is, girl, you look nice and don't it look beautiful? And that's what you want until your hair falling out and you drop it on the ground.
Right.
So it is with this conversation. Just because somebody said it works, like somebody back in the day, they used to say Coke works because it gives you energy. Yeah, it worked. But what did it do to you? It made you an addict. So how do you trade one issue for another? Like Sister Mayanah said earlier, you can't control yourself. So you take on somebody else, some external negative reinforcement controlling you. And then you bring it to the people like, this is the solution. To what? Lack of self-control?
Right.
What is it the solution to? Because now you're creating another maladaptive behavior to compensate for your maladaptive behavior.
Exactly.
So when are we really going to get to the issue? Counseling, self-improvement works only if you want it to improve. You know what I'm saying? There's some people who say, I don't want to lose weight. Just put this band on my belly and I'll lose weight. So we want shortcuts, but they don't tell you the shortcut can hurt you.
Right.
Shortcut could potentially kill you. And so as we're seeing with this and many things, and then I'm going to chill out. This long thing, like Sister Mayanah read, the whole pamphlet that it's there. I couldn't even go into the whole pamphlet. It's all of these hairy spaces that you have to now comb through to get to what you say is the good part. You know what I'm saying? It's like, dang, you got to go through all of that to get to the good part. We gotta
go and borrow Sadie's comb.
Yeah, we need. Yeah, we need the sister from the Black Manifesto's comb to comb Sadie's, fine hair comb to come through this stuff, because it's so sticky. The pros, the cons. You know what I'm saying? No, don't hit you too hard. Don't leave a mark. Why are you wanting a grown man and advocating for a grown man to put his hands on a grown woman?
Right.
And no less people who have trauma from being beat.
Right.
Right. I'm sorry. I'm gonna just go ahead and drink a little bit of my.
Because it goes back to what we're trying to elucidate, is that there's an absence or an avoidance of the maturation process. The idea is that you are not perpetually stuck in childhood. You are supposed to evolve past that stage of childhood into the stage of womanhood. Right. So we're talking about a woman who's being treated like a child. So there's a regression here instead of a progression, where we talked before, like in our green room spaces that we are want to have, that as a child we are raising our children so that they do not continue to consume from the community, but rather they get to the end where they are contributing to the community. They are becoming contributing citizens, and this idea that she is a perpetual child it allows her to escape that. She doesn't have to be responsible. She's saying, I am not going to contribute. I am not going to be responsible. I lack discipline. And then you have to wonder, how far back are we going to regress? There's a woman who you can find on all over social media. She made social media rounds because she's 21 years old and decided that she wanted to regress not just to childhood, but to infancy.
Oh, gosh.
And she's 21 years old. She has a 25-year-old boyfriend at the time. And she sleeps in a crib. She wears a pamper.
Oh, wow.
And he treats her like a baby. Pacifiers, pampers. She says she doesn't do number 2 in her pamper, and that he'll clean her if she has soiled her pamper, but he does, or he is open to pampering her if it's a clean pamper. Okay, listen, because she doesn't want to be an adult.
Wow.
She feels like whatever was missing is but when you listen to, someone did an interview with her, and it turns out that she had an abusive experience at that stage.
You see?
At the stage of infancy. So she returns to infancy because she wants to get from that stage what she didn't receive while in that stage. So she wants to live it out in its purity because the purity was taken from it. So this sounds like these women who are being told that they are being treated, they are acting like children. That means they didn't receive the discipline they needed as children. So as adults, they're being treated like children. So they bring them back to that stage that you didn't do you didn't receive what you needed in that stage, so you regress there.
Healthy?
You said
Healthy?
again with that right. And how do you slap a healthy label on that?
Like you could put healthy on pork rinds now, I guess. Like pork rind, we didn't use canola oil, we used sunflower oil, healthy. You know what I'm saying? It's like the fast food restaurants, down here in the South, they refurbishing the fast food restaurants. I don't know if you remember that video Demolition Man, where and it's happening because where Wesley Snipes he comes back. And he was like, he want to get fast food. And they said the only thing available is Taco Bell. And then Taco Bell was like this fancy restaurant. Well, now they're changing the faces of all of these restaurants that they really look like fancy establishments, like McDonald's has brick fronts and big bay windows. And I'm like, huh? So, you just slap the healthy label on it. Because once you say healthy, low fat, it got to be. You know what I'm saying? No, never mind. It's like, 100 grams of salt, who cares if you fall over from high blood pressure? It's healthy. And so this is kind of what we're doing, like Sister. I've never seen that, by the way, Sister Mayanah, that whole lady in the pamper thing. And most I must admit, I'm good. Like, I'm good. But it does lend to what I saw with what you just shared. People who are stuck in certain phases of the development, and they're looking to normalize it as opposed to deal with the trauma and move beyond it.
Exactly.
And that's your personal journey. That's one thing. But now if you make it a movement of advocacy to say that everyone is stuck in that phase, and I see a bit of, and I have to be honest, a bit of campaigning and championing for people who say, no, you know what? My relationship, we speak it out. Well, maybe you're sure you don't want to beat her? And I'm like, well, what's up with the pushing? You know what I'm saying?
You sound like a drug dealer.
Yeah, it sounds like you sure. So it goes a little bit beyond. I just want to share my experience. Now I want to push my experience on you because I'm telling you this is the answer to your problems. Even though the person just tell you I don't have to bust out the belt to say that I'm going to fix if my issue. Not everyone has daddy issues. Not everyone likes being beat, and not everyone lacks self-control. And this lends back to the angry Black woman, which again, if you don't know, check me out on Amazon, Emunah Yisrael, Angry Black Woman Syndrome Revisited. Sister Mayanah, you have your you sharing your screen?
I'm about to share something with you. You gotta see it. There it is. Can you see it?
No, oh gosh, why you did it? I was so good before you did this. Oh my good. Well, where did she get? Did she get the adult pamper?
That's her boo taking good care of her.
She's doing the most right now. People, this is live right here. Yo, did they build the crib for her? Because it's bigger than her.
Yes, indeed. He says that he's happy that she's happy. And okay, is this her in the high chair?
They're doing the most. You see, this is why you always talking about soul anonymous, Emunah. These are soul issues. You know what I'm saying? These are deep issues. Wow, Mayanah, thank you for gracing me with the pamper lady. You know what I'm saying? We gonna wrap.
Listen, I have to go through it. You have to go through it too.
Why did you? I was like, oh no, the pamper lady. But again, she is physically acting out what people emotionally are experiencing. And it's easier to see it when you physically act it out. But now we would have a problem with Pamper Lady if Pamper Lady said everybody needs to go back to Pampers and let your man. You see the difference? Like Pamper Lady is just doing her thing as Pamper Lady. She's not full-fledged advocating like, yo, I'm about to have a GoFundMe in a minute. You see what I'm saying? Because I want everybody to get these paddles that's not available in stores so that you could get it in too. Like that's the difference.
And she's not saying that it's a survival strategy for the people. But she is saying this is something that helped her. And she said it's because this happened to me. It helped me, and it's something that, you know. And she understood her psychosis. She said, "Listen, something bad happened to me, so I need to go back to the time when something bad happened to me and clean it up."
Right.
But that's not the narrative that we're hearing with this whole discipline, domestic discipline. We have the Christian church, which is which maybe not for us as Hebrews, but there is still an enormous amount of people who consider the church an authority.
Right.
And when there is an authority saying that this is something that you should practice, you have these are Abrahamic thoughts. This is coming from an Abrahamic, supposedly an Abrahamic thought. And meanwhile, you don't see Abraham doing any of this. I really don't think that Abraham had a moment in his life where he said, "I'm going to put Sarah over my lap." But he disagreed with Sarah. He took it to the Creator. He didn't even take it to her. He took it to the Creator. He's like, "You know what? I don't want to do this.
Right.
I'm not going to fuss with her."
But and you don't see. That's what I'm saying. You don't see this. But like you said, the Christians, there are a variation called Christian domestic discipline where they're using. I read it. Like I'm stuttering right now. I read it where they're like, yeah, use the book of, go with me to the book of Proverbs, and this means, yeah, okay, and this means, and you know, so when you go there, they're actually called CDD, and they're using the Bible to validate this. Again, we see this
Africa, the Bible.
This is not Africa. This is the European who needs to have everyone else around him infantilized. And he's the only, this is what they would often say about the slaves. They're such perpetual children. Dude, when you broke their foot, kicked away the cane, and took away their ability to feed themselves, and then get mad and resentful and say they're perpetual children, I'm a little bit confused. Like, you know, one of the books I read, Latita gives me a headache, but she would say, oh, those Negroes should be happy that we're feeding them. Like, dude, you took away their ability to feed themselves.
Right.
So it's kind of like a wild complex when you see that their own, not all, I can't say all, those who are perpetuating this thought into the blogosphere, because it's all over the computer, that, and then we'll wrap up,
right,
that she's not your wife, she's your child wife, and that this is help to keep her in order. And as you said before, there's some videos that popped up of Islam perpetuating the same thought process of not only should you do it, this is how you should do it so you don't get caught. You know what I'm saying? Right. This is how you should do it so it don't look too bad. And until we as a people heal the relationship between masculine energy and feminine energy and understand that anyone suppressing the other is going to be a malfunction in this matrix, this system called Earth and existence. That's and if we haven't learned anything from history, we keep quoting Africa. Africa had slaves. Okay. Before the European came there, Africa enslaved other Africans because they didn't even call themselves Africans. You're doing that. They call themselves whatever they were within their people group. So when we step out of this nostalgia of what didn't exist, and we look at the fact that abusing people has always been within the human psyche, subjugating people and needing to be superior so that you can be like a god onto others is a human condition. And that, as the Creator said in the beginning, it's not good that man be alone. So humanity has made a great deal of jacking up the whole program. And no matter how many prosthetic solutions you put in place, it cannot replace what the Creator has already said. The feminine principle has to be in the space to be able to do her job. And the masculine principle has to be in the space to be able to do his job. And collectively, they do their job.
That's right.
So I'm saying the same thing that we said to man leads, woman follows. The concept, it's like, you know, like I said, it's like a crazy, you know what I'm saying, additive, preservative, you know what I'm saying, wild, crazy donut with a little bit of glaze. You know what I'm saying? It's like laced with some poison and arsenic, and you like, dang, that donut look good. Don't bite it.
Don't bite it.
That's Don't bite it.
You know, it's like they who are the, you see a lot of the brothers and sisters saying, I'm not even going to deal with certain fruits and vegetables anymore if they're red, they have a red tint because people are going around with their syringes and putting blood into it. They're like, listen,
I heard about that.
you can't even have a pink grapefruit anymore because somebody's sticking blood in it. You can't even go and have oranges and tangerines
I don't
anymore.
even really eat oranges because I can't find them with the seed, and I live in Florida. I can't tell you when the last time I ate an orange. Oh yeah, I do remember when I was overseas, because unless somebody I know grew the orange and say, yo, I got some fruit off the tree, that's the last time I ate a grapefruit, tell you the truth. Because I'm that type of person. You know what I'm saying? Baby, I'll be like, nah, we ain't eating that. You know what I'm saying? Ain't got no seeds in it. You know what I'm saying? We eat grapes like a few times a year because the real grapes have seeds and they only come out during like the summertime. You know what I'm saying? For that other stuff, I'm good. So we have a lot of fake food out here. We have a lot of fake knowledge out here. We have a lot of fake consciousness out here. We have a lot of fake gurus out here. We have a lot of people telling us, you know, just take this shortcut. I'm sure you're going to get to the other edge of the woods. And next, you know, you over there jacked up, you know what I'm saying? Your booty tore up because somebody told you, you know. And then I'll leave it at, I keep saying I'll leave it at this because it's just so wild. When I'm listening to some of the stories that the sister shared about when she got beaten, it's like the list Mayanah read. I'm like, because once you agree, do you renege in the middle of a beating? Or do you just take the beating and just be like, I really didn't appreciate the beating, go in time out? You know,
preventative beating. Remember, let's tell the people about the preventative beating.
Oh, okay. I'll leave you with this. The sister shared the story that she said that she was in her house and that she was, and I'm using this. If the sister hears this and watches this, the reason why I'm sharing this, and you're welcome to come on, is because you shared it. And I think it lends credibility to what it is that we're saying. So we're not just totally hating Black women who is feministic, and no, not at all. The story went that she was cleaning up and taking care of the children, and the husband called her to the room, and she said she was relaxing, listening to music. So she said she was busy. Then a little later on, the husband calls her to the room again. She goes, and when she enters the room, he now presents the fact that she's going to get a beating. And she's saying, what did I get beaten for? And his response is a preventative beating for anything that you might do. I don't. What is that?
Yes.
With that said,
that's what it is. Once you open the door to, you know, you can micromanage me in this way.
Right.
Then where do you close the door? Where does the line get drawn? We're not going to go into the other topics, but the sister has since broadened the things that she's willing to accept in her household, right, and what the man should have access to. Because once you open one little door, you can't control what comes into it.
It's a flood.
That's right. Because the deluge is real.
Absolute power corrupts absolutely. And I heard the conversation that he's a god and I'm a goddess. And this has been the very conversation from the book of Genesis. You shall be like gods. When people feel they have ultimate power and control over somebody, it is almost inevitable.
Mm-hmm.
It's like walking on a razor blade, dude. You make a wrong step, that's your behind. It's almost inevitable that this person is going to slip into, I could do whatever I want to do without any repercussions. That's the ego. That's what the ego does. And so when you're supposed to be the feminine principle that balances that man, and you have canceled all of your ability to do so, you have left him by himself.
That's right. I want to build on that thought before we leave. The idea also that we saw here, we're talking about, well, who disciplines the man? The idea was that the creator disciplines him. She gets disciplined by the man, but he gets disciplined from the creator. Once again, the man has a relationship with the creator, but you only have a relationship with the man. As if you do not have a relationship with the creator. And that is a very dangerous thought that also finds itself or reproduces itself in other spaces. This happens where now women don't believe they can pray because they don't have access to the creator. Women don't believe that they have any value in the home because they have to go through the man to have any value. So they can't, and so even this idea of who is going to chastise and admonish her, she doesn't have a relationship with the Father, as if we are not the Creator's daughters. There's this imagination that the men see us only in terms of how our relationship with them, their wives, the mother of their children, or their own mother. But they do not understand that before And without them, we are still the daughters of the Creator. Just as they are the sons of the Creator, we are the daughters of the Creator. We have that relationship with our Father. They become included into our family. They don't graft us into an identity. We have an identity when you met us. So this idea that He is the one that gets disciplined by the Creator, as if the Creator has no business with us. And so because the Creator is not relating with us, we need Him to do it. This is a flawed thought. This is a fallacy that needs to die in an early and violent death.
We're gonna have to come back and have that conversation, Sister Mayanah, because again, this doesn't exist by itself. It is
No,
connected
it does
a lot of unspoken, accepted, thought processes to be able to build this. That's what I heard her say, because that's a question that comes up often. Well, who deals with the man? If you're listening right now, you have any questions or comments, we're gonna log off at 10:30. So we have 7 minutes. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to share at this time based on what you heard. If you're just tuning in, go ahead and go back to the beginning. This is something that, again, the concern for me is, as someone who speaks about healing your injury, healing your soul injury, dealing with the issues and not incorporating people, adding people in, like, come in here with me, I'm saying, because I need you to act out this issue. This is the same thing we see with Diaper Lady. It's like, I'm going to bring you into my mess, instead of taking the personal responsibility to say, hey, if I have a father issue, or if I have this issue or that mother issue, if I have a family issue, I'm going to deal with it at its core, because I don't want to bring someone else into my mess.
That's
so
right.
now, whatever issue you had pre-existing, you are now, whether you in Christian, whatever the case may be, or whatever, whoever's picking this up, you are bringing your mate, you're giving your mate a new issue that they did not have. If you have children, their responsibility is to discipline the children. And now, in addition to that, which is a full-time job of rearing your children, it sounds as though you're rearing your wife.
That's right.
Which is a bit, it's a bit line blurry.
It's weird, right?
It's very icky and line blurry in that space where, when she comes to you, her parents should have reared her correctly.
Yeah.
So that now that she enters into this space, that she can do her job most proficiently. And as you were talking, Sister Mayanah, I just thought of another matriarch who, in their estimation, would have got it too, which is Raquel, when she's having the conversation. And Jacob apparently is a little bit agitated because of her demands. According to them, he could have just took her in a tent and, dealt with her, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Right.
So according to them, a lot of the foreparents, even these Christian people, where we never see, the proverb says that the rod is for the backs of fools. It does not say the rod is for the back of your wife.
Right.
Because Proverbs, and as well as the wisdom of Sirach, speaks directly to this contentious woman. And Solomon, having 1,000 opportunities to interface with contention, he never says, heed my instruction, my son. If she gets on your nerve, pull out your toothpick and begin to beat her. He never says that.
Right.
He says, it's better to go dwell on the top of the roof.
Right.
Than to chill with her. It's better to go your way. Moshe came and said, if you can't rock, then separate. You never see this license to say, just get to spank, man. It's all right. That's something else. Because all throughout the Hebraic text, that cannot be found.
When Rivka straight completely usurped Isaac's authority on this straight with Esau, he was like, I'm giving it to Esau. Rivka was like, no, you're not. Right.
Right. So in their estimation, all of the matriarchs, from Sarah to Raquel to Rivka, you know what I'm saying, to Abigail, all of the matriarchs would have deserved what they're saying is a beating.
Right.
Because it's healthy. Don't forget, you can't forget the healthy pork rinds. It's healthy. You can't forget that. The blue juice. You remember in New York? You know, blue juice that they be drinking, like that straight, you know what I'm saying? Cancer inducing blue, red. What color you want? Give me red. Like, dude, your whole mouth be red and blued up, looking like a Smurf. That's that kind. They be like, they just slap. This is actually goji berry. You know what I'm saying? Blue juice with a hint of goji berry. No, it's not. It's poison. Can you please stop? Okay, I'm bugging out. As y'all could tell, this one had me a little bit turned up. You can't shortcut doing the work. If you don't know, check out some of the things that we are doing and other people who are doing, who you can clearly tell has not taken shortcuts. Okay. This is generational trauma. And agreeing to somebody beating that behind ain't gonna spank out the generational trauma. I'm sorry.
Right.
So with that said,
Join us on Wednesday.
Huh?
And so that said, join us on Wednesday.
Yeah, with that said, you know, I know it may seem a bit long and drawn out, and these sisters be having like 50 million series, and oh my goodness. What we try to do is give you the facts that when you go and speak to somebody else, you can substantiate what you're saying.
Correct.
Don't take our word for you. We'll give you the sources. There's no hidden, like, oh, don't worry about what I'm looking at. Only believe me. There's none of that. Like, you know, they call me, my brother said, yo, why do you put so much bibliography on your memes? Because I want you to go read it yourself.
Right. And we don't need you to say, Mayanah said, Emunah said, hey, quote the source.
Quote the source. If we're going to be conscious, and we're going to be scholarly. You can't hand in, I'll leave it at this. You go to school, you go to college, you go to university. You cannot hand in your paper and then be like, nah, chill, I ain't going to give you the sources. You get an F. Like on the back of your paper, you are going to have required, where did you get this information? You cannot say, I time traveled. And, you know what I'm saying? I absorbed it through osmosis. It doesn't work like that. And we have people in the community who's ripping a whole lot of these European information and they act like you all of a sudden had an epiphany and then you came to, and then now I'm divulging this information. We need to stop this type of behavior.
Yeah, they all John Smith with the golden tablet.
Yeah, they're like, oh yeah, they was like, oh, I went digging and look, the Amala came and I found some emerald tablets and here you go. Stop.
Stop.
We know you took it off the whole pamphlet.
Yeah. We saw you Google Wikipedia. We know what this is.
You know, let's start to be honest with one another, break up this fallow ground, you know what I'm saying, and not go with every wind of doctrine that sounds good. Yes, melanated women have been through the ringer.
Right.
Melanated men have been through the ringer, but melanated women who had to bear the responsibility so that we could still be here. You could say whatever you want. If your mama didn't bring you here, you wouldn't be here. Because your father could have planted the seed, but if she did not cultivate it and commit to actually going through the process, you wouldn't be here.
That's right.
So let's not negate the reality in the face of everything. All odds against. Some mothers decided, you know what? Nope, I'm bringing. We see that with Moshe's mother. Everybody says, oh, it was better back then. Moshe's mother, Jochebed was in a time where they were murking babies. Nothing new under the sun. So when we talk about the woman, don't give her a pass to be rude or disrespectful, but understand her when you approach her so that you don't negate her whole experience only to say, but you should act like this and you should behave like that. If you go into counseling somebody in that way, they're going to shut you out because you're not validating their existence.
Right. And you don't decide that to deal with a hurting woman, you hurt her by, you know, this type of violence. This is not what you're doing. This is not this.
Mayanah, don't say violence. Say healthy. Healthy. I need you to say for me healthy.
I didn't get my dose of heroin. You forgot to take my syringe.
Yeah, healthy discipline, okay? Not violence. There's a difference.
There is a difference, and this is violence.
With that said, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. You know what I'm saying? My name is Emunah. Yes, right. We have been joined by Sister Mayanah Johnson. I was a little bit turned up today because this is in my ballpark of this is not healing. You know what I'm saying?
C3 challenge is healing.
Huh? Yeah, this is not healing. You know what I'm saying?
Get our C3 sponsor up here.
Yeah. Oh, yes. And so thank you for joining us. If you would like to, a word from our sponsors, which is the C3 challenge, which is beginning to flush out the toxins that we spoke about, them healthy pork rinds you might have eaten when you was 3. You know what I'm saying? If you want to get out all of the gunk and the junk up out your system, check out www.c3challenge.club and we can hook you up. So until next time, well, next time will be Wednesday. We'll see you again.